During an interview, the host of the show was very curious about the secret to Bill Gates' success. So the host asked, "Mr. Gates, what factors do you think lead to your success?" Do you know what Bill Gates' answer is? He said, "I'm not the top programmer in the world. I'm not the top businessman in the world either. But I'm very good at managing top programmers and top businessmen. This made me an outstanding leader." This example shows the importance of a good human resource management. So in this lecture, let's talk about how to perform a project human resource management. Before we go further, let's give a definition to this concept. We define a project human resource management as a process of identifying and documenting project rules, responsibilities, required skills, the supervising and subordinate relationship for the team members in our project. There are three important activities in a project human resource management. First, we need to develop a human resource management plan. Second, we need to take actions to acquire the needed human resources. Third, after the team is formed, we need to provide the trainings to the team members. We need to encourage the communications among team members in order to further develop the project team. Let's talk about these important activities one by one. When we develop a human resource management plan, we need to consider several guidelines. For instance, we need to look at the work breakdown structure of our project so that we can identify what types of human resources we need in order to accomplish the specific activities. We need to look at the project schedule so that we can identify how long each human resource is needed. We also need to look at the stakeholders' needs. For instance, we need to talk to the sponsors to figure out if our project team is able to afford the needed human resources. We also need to look at our project change management plan so that we can have the backup human resources if the current team members leave the project. These are the important guidelines we need to consider when we develop a human resource management plan. At the end of the plan development, you should answer the following questions. First, what are the particular rules and responsibilities for the team members? This is a very important question because your answers are basically the job descriptions for each team member you are about to hire in the future. Second, you want to establish a project organizational structure. You want to figure out the supervising and subordinate relationships among team members. Who will lead whom? Lastly, you want to establish a staffing management plan. You want to look at what kind of incentive policies or sanction policies you would like to take. You also want to establish the policies for providing trainings to the employees. This consists of a human resource management plan. According to the plan, a project manager can start hiring the team members. There are lots of options to choose. You can choose a more traditional hiring approach. You can post the job openings on the job-seeking websites, start receiving applications from the candidates. After going through the phone interviews and face-to-face interviews, finally, you identify the qualified candidates for the positions. There are some new approaches available as well. For instance, you can use the online social networking websites like LinkedIn to look for the candidates. You have probably had a very good understanding about a candidate's education level, skill set, work ethics with the information shared with the candidate on those websites. You can also look at other people's comments or endorsements on a particular candidate on those websites. These are all benefits that the traditional hiring approach cannot provide to a project manager. Recently, we developed a new name for the hiring process. We call it a team acquisition process. The reason is, when we want to obtain the human resources for our project, the relationship between a project manager and the human resources doesn't have to be a hiring relationship. You can find that some companies like IBM and Microsoft start organizing some online competitions. The questions in those competitions are the challenges those companies are facing in their projects. The competition participants don't have to be the employees of those companies. They could be college students, customers of those companies. Using the competitions, those companies are able to integrate external human resources into their project development process and use the participants' answers, designs, responses to address the challenges they face in their project development process. When we receive a pool of candidates, how can we identify the best of the best? We need to look at both the hard criteria and the soft criteria. The hard criteria include a candidate's education level, the number of years of work experiences, if a candidate has a certificate or not. These criteria are set in the stone. They are easier to tell. But what about the soft criteria, like a candidate's ability, attitude, work ethics, and so on? How can we evaluate those aspects of a candidate? A good practice is to offer an internship before giving the official position to the candidate. During the internship stage, a project manager or a hiring manager needs to observe the candidate's performances in order to evaluate the soft skills of the candidates. After we form our team, we need to take the following actions to further develop our team. We need to provide trainings to the team members. We need to establish a rewarding and recognition policy so that we can highly motivate our team members. We need to give timely assessments to the team members so that they will know which part they perform well, which parts are currently their weaknesses. Another important activity is to encourage the interpersonal communications among team members. The increased communications will make more collaborations a possibility in our project. The activities for encouraging interpersonal communications doesn't have to be in a formal environment like an office. You can use informal activities to encourage team members' communications as well. For instance, a party, an outdoor activity. These are all good practices for you to encourage communications and collaborations among team members.